Then there we go. I wanted to make sure I hit the recording button because last time we all got together, I did the webinar on the sales process and got to the end of it and was waiting for it to for the recording to go through the process it goes through before we can post it and everything, and realized I did not hit the record button. So had to record it again that afternoon, but nonetheless, I've got it turned on now. How you guys doing? Glad to have you with us here. I am really looking forward to this particular sales training that we're doing today. I actually did a sales training for Mercedes-Benz dealership yesterday. It's a client of mine, and the focus is on value-based selling, which is what we're going to be doing here today. And I can just tell you that when we do this sales training for folks and they really begin to grasp what it is we're talking about, that it changes people's sales careers and it changes people's businesses. Now, we're not going to be able to, get anywhere close to what we can do in an all-day seminar today. I'm going to try to just kind of give you some overview of it, give you an idea of what we mean by value-based selling and how to get away from the price trap. But obviously, we're going to be doing more on this in the future, and would certainly like to hear from you guys what would be helpful for you. So let's get started here and get rolling into, let's see, there we go, first slide. Hard to imagine it's February. Good gosh, we scheduled this training I was doing for a client yesterday. We're doing 5 days of training for them this month. We scheduled it several months ago, and it was like, wow, here it is. So February already. Exciting month for us. It's actually the month that my wife and I got married in. We got married on Valentine's Day 28 years ago on February 14th. So February is always a fun month for us, and looking forward to that, and going to Mexico later on in the month to do some work. So February is going to be a great month, but man, I cannot believe how fast January went by. And I'm guessing if you're out there, you're busy, it went by really fast for you as well. Like we said, 2015 is going to be a year of sales mastery. We're going to talk a little bit about what that means here in just a minute. Quick little tech check. I want to make sure you understand, if you have not been with us here before, that little Q&A box on your dashboard is where you can communicate with me. So do me a favor. Typically, you tell me where you're dialing in from today, where you're signing on from. Do me a favor. Let's do this. Tell me what's one product that you sell. Use that question box down there and tell me what product you sell. Amongst the many products that we have on our client list here, let me find out what you sell. And let's see here. Chicago, Laura, you're ahead of me. Not where you coming from today. I want to know what you're selling, but Chicago is, man alive, you guys got killed up there, Laura. Hope you're doing well. Presentation skills training. You sell yourself, Paul? Absolutely, and that should be an easy product to sell. Laura said, yep, on the snow. Talent management, SAP consulting. Awesome. Let's see here. What else do we have? Protective coatings, Eric Saxon Nobel guys. Automobiles. Somebody from our sales training yesterday is on the webinar today. Hey, glad to have you guys. I know you're all in one office there, so it shows that it's Ricky, so I'm not sure all's there. But SAP consulting, talent management, protective coatings, the Halliburton guys. Glad to have you here again. So you're keynoting from down in Australia. Are you guys really up this time of day? Man alive, when I was down there, I was in bed by now. But anyway, okay, good deal. We got a tech check done. Let's move on. We're going to talk about value today, and I've always liked this quote. I may just like the picture better. And Albert Einstein said, try not to become a man of success, but rather a man of value or a woman of value. And I will just tell you that understanding our value and articulating it well will make us a success. And as we go through the webinar today, I'm hoping we can illustrate that for you. So glad to have you guys with us. Here's our agenda. Quick review of kind of where we're at right now, what we're covering in the year of sales mastery. We're going to talk about mastery here in a moment in a way that I've started kind of sharing it here lately. And then I'm going to give you a format for understanding the value that you bring to the table and how to effectively articulate that with your clients. A little bit about mastery, and I've started using this lately, and some of you may have heard it on the podcast. And if you haven't tuned into the podcast, I would ask you to. As a matter of fact, let me just stop real quick. If you haven't tuned into the podcast, go to iTunes and look up In the Sales Arena, and you'll find our podcast there. Or you can go to our website, and you can find it there at www.thesalesgladiators.com. But you guys are coming here regularly, and I don't mind asking you if you would do this for us. I would really appreciate it. And again, if you can't, don't worry about it. But if you have a moment, go to iTunes, find our podcast on In the Sales Arena. Listen to it and give us a 5-star rating. The more ratings we get, the higher the ratings, the more people will be able to find us there. And we're growing like crazy because people like you are doing that and sharing it with others. So if you don't mind doing that, I would appreciate it. But we've talked about this on our podcast about what does it mean to be a master of something. We talked about it yesterday in sales training, and I used this illustration of Tiger Woods quite a while back, and then I stopped using it. And then somebody who's a lot smarter than I am asked me, said, why did you stop using the Tiger Woods mastery story? It's really a good one. I said, well, with all of his challenges and everything. And he just looked at me and very deadpan said, so you don't have any challenges? And I was like, well, of course I do. And he goes, everybody has challenges. And the story about Tiger Woods is a good one. So I'd keep using it, even if maybe you made a mistake or two, because we all make mistakes. So I'm using this illustration again about mastery. And I read the book, The Big Miss by Hank Haney, which was written about Tiger Woods. And it was an outstanding book, very little about Tiger's problems or misgivings, if you will. Mostly what Haney talked about in the book was his coaching approach. And I have a number of clients that are clients that I coach, a very small handful of clients that I coach. I keep that at a defined number. And so I was really interested in the book from the mastery standpoint of his coaching techniques. And he said that Tiger Woods used to have a practice routine where he would stand on the tee box with his bag of golf clubs. And if you play golf, you know this. If not, I'll share it with you. You have 14 clubs in the bag. One of them is a putter that you don't really strike the golf ball with. So that leaves 13 clubs in the bag that you do strike the ball with. Well, he would stand on the practice tee and he would hit each one of those 13 clubs with 9 different iterations, if you will. He would hit them low, medium, and high. He would hit them straight. He would draw the ball, which means he would curve the ball from right to left. And he would cut the ball, which means he had hit the ball from left to right. So low, medium, high, straight, draw, cut. He would hit each one of those shots 10 times. And once he hit that shot 10 times, then he would move on to the next iteration. If he got to the 8th iteration, let's say he was hitting a 6-iron high straight, and on the 8th shot, he hit a bad shot, he would go back to the beginning, not of all the clubs, but on that club until he hit 9 iterations 10 times perfect. All right. So when we talk about mastery, one of the things that I think we're looking for is the ability to communicate and influence clients in a way that carries that kind of mastery to it. When Tiger Woods is standing in the fairway, all he has to know is the distance he needs to hit the ball, and then he has a number of different options about how to hit the ball. So when we talk about mastery and we talk about the value that we bring to the table, I want your answer to be as quick as if I ask you what your birthday is. All right. If I ask you your birthday, you know the answer to that right off the top of your head, right off the tip of your tongue. You don't have to think about it. That's the kind of mastery we're talking about from a sales perspective. So do me a favor. I'm going to launch a poll here. We're going to do one early today. And let me pull it up. And here's the question. And I ask this in a lot of our workshops because I want to see what people think about it. If a sales team has 100 members on that sales team, and I ask the sales manager, how many extraordinary sales reps do you have? All right, they've got 100 sales members, and I ask them, how many extraordinary sales reps do you have? I want to know what you think the answer to that is. So there's the poll. The question is, if a sales team has 100 sales members to it, how many of them are absolutely extraordinary at what they do? You have your answers 3 to 5, 6 to 19, 10. That should say 6 to 9. Sorry. 10 to 15 or more than 15. Okay. Looks like I'm not fooling anybody so far. Now we fooled somebody. Now we're fooling a few more. Okay. All right. I'll give you a few more seconds here. All right. You guys basically got the answer right, so I'm going to close the poll. The answer is 3 to 5. Out of a sales force of 100 people, on the average, only about 3 to 5 are absolutely extraordinary. And part of the reason we know that is always ask my client, how many people do you have are extraordinary? But also from doing all the benchmark work that we do, we're always looking for nothing but the best of the best. And that typically is somewhere between 3 to 8 people, including key stakeholders, outstanding sales reps, and what we call subject matter experts, people who know about the position. So it's 3 to 5. And consequently, only about 3 to 5 people are anywhere near what we call mastery. I wouldn't actually say that I'm there yet because I realize how far I have to go. I think I'm pretty good at it. But the more I get to know, the more I realize I don't know. And perhaps you're in that same boat with me. So let's move forward here. We're going to talk about the whole idea of what it means to sell value, kind of where we're at in the continuum of sales mastery. This year, we're studying a proven sales process. We've already done that. How do you intentionally build level 5 and 6 relationships? Today, we're going to talk about how do you build value. And the last thing we'll talk about is how do you become, what does it mean to be the best of the best? We've talked about the be plus do equals have equation. You have to be the right person, do the right things in order to have success. We'll talk also about that. Well, who do we need to be in order to be extraordinary? The reality is when we do sales training with a client, most everything we do is going to be, well, I'll tell you, everything we do is going to be pulled from these 4 buckets: the process, building high-level relationships, value-based selling, and who we need to be. So in essence, when we custom design everything, we find out what a client wants and then figure out what they really need. We're pulling from these 4 areas. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay, so why sell value? First thing is you literally can close faster. When we understand the value that we bring to the table and we do a good job of qualifying clients to find out what they value, we actually can close the sale faster than if we don't do that. Not understanding our value and not qualifying properly makes the sales process take even longer. Okay, it actually closes more sales faster and more sales. We create higher margins. We get paid more if we understand our value. We understand how to create more and more level 5 and 6 clients as our book of business. And then, quite frankly, it's a lot more fun. Dealing with people who value what we do and we understand what they value is a lot more fun than trying to put square pegs in round holes. So learning how to sell value is, there's tons of reasons why we want to do that. But I can tell you at the end of the day, it's just a lot more fun. And we have to understand what that value is. And everybody has a different sort of value proposition that they bring to the table. And that's what we're going to learn about today. All right, here's the foundation for what we're learning. Issue, action, impact. All right, probably better said or easier understood is what's the problem the client has? What is it we do about it? And at the end of the day, why do they care? All right, not why do I care about it, but why do they care? And I will tell you that I've certainly fallen into this challenge, and I know a lot of the people that we train fall into this challenge, is that we understand the problems and we understand what we do about it, but we tend to sell to the client what we care about instead of asking the client what they value and then being able to share with them out of the many different things that we do that bring value to the table, what is it we do that solve their problem? And what we really have to do is learn what is the value that we bring to the table. So do me a favor. In the question box there, just type really quick, what is something that you do that you think you're really extraordinary at? What's something that you're outstanding at? Maybe it's teaching. You know, one of these days I'll actually remember to turn everything off and all of that good stuff. My apologies there for the phone ringing in the background. But in the question box there, type in what's something that you're really good at, or what's a problem that you solve for your clients, all right, that makes a difference. Okay. All right. John says he's a great listener. Good deal. Matching candidates up. Okay. Matching candidates to jobs. Coaching and asking the right questions to get to the next step. Absolutely. Great teaching. Okay. How about something else? All right. Listening and providing real solutions. Outstanding, Laura. We have the best protective coatings on the planet. Inner Sleek 900. Yeah, we're going to hear about that before we get through. So you guys are axing the bell. Hang on. I'm going to use that before we get done today. Anybody else listening to issues? Good deal. Okay, well, I want to put a little more meat on some of this because I want you to get a really, really outstanding grasp of what you do that clients value, and that way you can do a couple things. One is market more effectively, and two, close more deals more effectively, and attract the kind of clients that you want to do business with more effectively as well. All right, so when we look about these value propositions, we're going to organize them into three different what we call layers or categories. First thing is, what's the value your company or organization brings to the table? Now, if you are one of my AkzoNobel folks out there, you're one of the sales reps from Halliburton, or you work with Mercedes-Benz, all right, your organization has the benefit of being huge. And I'm going to use the AkzoNobel guys as an example. You guys are worldwide. You've got huge R&D. You've got long-term financial stability. You are the leader in the marketplace. You have market share. There's tons and tons and tons of stuff about AkzoNobel that creates value to the client. All right, you guys have been there, done that, have all the T-shirts, done a great job. And quite frankly, as you guys know in the training, we talked about this. You guys don't lean on that brand strong enough. All right. Now, a lot of you, let's go to the other end of the spectrum. Okay. You're a solopreneur. You're an individual, an entrepreneur like I am. All right. So what kind of value do you have in light of the AkzoNobels of the world, or whoever you might be competing with that's huge? Well, I'll just tell you from our standpoint, I'm small. I don't have to go anywhere to make a decision. I can change directions very quick. I can get answers quickly. I've been in business for 22 plus years now. March 1st, it'll be 23. I have over 1,100 clients in my database. I have in our database probably 15, 16 clients that we have done very large sales training initiatives for. And when I say large, I'm talking about as many as 8 days, 300 sales reps, 3 languages, 3 continents, kind of a stuff. Our company as an entity, and I keep saying we, it's really me, has that background. A guy asked me the other day, he goes, so when you say we, how many people is that? I go, well, it's me and 2 full-time people, and then all of the best consultants in the world that we hired that help us with the projects that we do. And he said, well, I mean, I don't understand why you keep saying we. I go, well, because one project had 23 consultants on it. So that group grows and gets smaller, and we have the ability to bring in the best consultants in the world. So you have to think about your company as an entity, even if you're a solopreneur, and what's the value that your company brings to the table. Okay? If you have any questions, just type them in down there, or any comments. Don't hesitate. Feel free to do that. Kind of help make this go a little smoother here. Next thing is, what is the value your product or service brings to the table? All right. And again, I was talking with one of my clients the other day, and they have a catalog with 180 pages in it, over 14,000 items. And it was like, how do I understand the value of all of that? Well, you don't have to understand the value of every single thing in that catalog, but you have to understand the value. What's the problem the client has? What is it that product does for them, and why do they care? You have to understand the format. And now, if you do have a product, if you are teaching presentation skills, or you are working in HR and helping match people up to clients and everything, or you sell protective coatings or whatever, you have to look at that product and say, what problem does it solve, and why does my client care about that? And what I would tell you is more and more today, clients care about that from an economic standpoint. If a client says to me, what's the economics of what you do, it's really easy for me to show proof from a sales training standpoint. One is I have quotes from tons and tons of clients that show the kind of ROI we have provided them and their people in the training that we do. But at the end of the day, I can simply talk to them about, so what's one of the things you feel like your people need to learn? Well, they need to learn how to handle your price is too high. Okay, well, if I teach them the price is too high and get them to quit discounting from 20% down to 10% on the average, then what does that mean to your bottom line? Well, I mean, I know what that number is, and they know what that number is. And once we agree on that, then I would simply say, if I only do half of that, then what you're paying me is chump change, quite frankly. And if I can't demonstrate to you, I can teach them how to stop discounting everything in the midst of your price is too high objection, then let's quit wasting your time and mine. So at the end of the day, we need to really understand the value that our product brings to the client, and we need to understand that value in a more concrete terms. All right, and the return on investment for the client. And again, I hope that makes sense to you guys. So our product and our service, and then we have what's our personal value. And here's where I want you to get to. I want you to get to the point where the client says, well, I have a choice between you and option B. You are $1,000 more for your keynote. You are $1 more a gallon for your product. You are $1,500 more on that automobile. Your house that we're looking at buying is $20,000 more than the other house. Why should I buy it from you? And I want you to be able to look them in the eye and go, because you get me. That you understand the value that you bring to the table, and that you indeed have developed to the point where you are bringing huge value to your clients, so that you can justify a higher rate than the competitor does, because they're not as good as you are. I really push that in our workshops. I really want the people in our sales training to understand the value that they bring to the table. And that value comes in a lot of different forms. It comes in the form of experience and integrity and character and hard work and background and knowledge and solutions and all those kinds of things are things we bring to the table. But I will tell you this, when I ask them to create a value proposition around themselves, it's the one area out of the three that they struggle with the most. So do me a favor. I'm going to ask you again. We're going to try to make these a little more interactive. What is one thing that you personally bring to the table that brings value to your clients? What's one thing that you bring to the table that brings value to your clients? Take a few moments and just jot that in the question area down there. Let me take a look at what you guys have. Okay, my knowledge of SAP, 35 years of experience, providing solutions customized, tailored to their needs. Laura, you and I are of same ilk there. That's our primary. 25 years of experience in training in what I do. Okay. That's typically what I hear in workshops. And I'm not going to say that any of that's not important. I agree with those things being very important. How much importance do you think integrity means? How much do you think character means? How much do you think doing what you say you're going to do means? I want us to get a better sense of how those things play into this equation as well. And again, I know a lot of you on this call, and that kind of integrity and character is huge. And so I want to make sure that you're not missing the opportunity to leverage that value proposition, if you will. I'm great at creating programs that address customer goals and don't waste their time. Absolutely. Result-oriented stuff. Cool. Okay. Good deal. All right. Well, let's look a little bit further here. And we actually just did what this next slide said. I want you to create a layered VP. What are you really good at? What client problem does that solve? And then why does the client care? But let me suggest something here. All right. Let's just pick out a product or service. And let's see here. David, you sell SAP applications. Okay. All right. Now, what's one thing about the SAP application that you guys do really well? David, do me a favor. Just type that in real quick. And I'm going to use that as an example. One thing that you guys do from an SAP application standpoint that makes you guys really, really good. All right. Mobility projects and SAP. Now, let me ask you the question, and everybody else can answer as well. How many different problems does the client have that mobility projects could solve, David? How many different problems could the client have that mobility stuff solves? All right, everybody else can answer too. How many do you think it solves? Okay, David said 4. All right, I'm gonna suggest if we were in a workshop, I could probably illustrate that it may solve more than that, but it solves 4 problems. How many reasons do they care, David? While you're there typing, how many reasons do you think they care? Okay, waiting for that. How many? One, two. Okay, good deal. All right. Lower costs into the market faster. So two different problems they solve. When we're doing these in the workshops, what we'll find out is that you've got one value proposition that may solve hundreds of problems, and it may have hundreds of different reasons why the client cares. So the whole idea there is one value proposition isn't a one-to-one with the problem and everything. One value proposition can solve a number of different challenges that the client has. All right, so let me get a little more layering on this, if you will. We have three different buyer types. Okay, we have what we call the user buyer, we have the economic buyer, and we have the technical buyer. And depending upon what kind of product you sell, there may be different applications to this. But the user buyer is the person that actually experiences the product or the service that you have. For those of you who sell the paints and coatings out there, it's the guy in the shop that applies that. David, for you, it may be the people that actually implement the SAP project. Laura, it may for you, it may be the person that's actually going to be in the audience that you're training. All right, does that all make sense? The economic buyer is a person who decides whether or not it's worth it. I can tell you this, one of the biggest shifts in our business happened a long, long time ago when I was in a NSA meeting, and Kathy Lovelace at a round table said that a client will pay six figures for a contract they know will deliver bottom line results a lot faster than they will the keynote fee that they know people will forget before you go to bed. That changed our business. I really began to get focused on how do I communicate return on investment, deliver my clients valued results and desired outcomes. That really changed our business. Nowadays, when I'm sitting with a client and there's an economic buyer in the room and they're talking ROI, I am very well versed at how to discuss the 5 different levels of return on investment. So it's really understanding how the economic buyer thinks. All right, the economic buyer isn't necessarily looking for the cheapest price. What the economic buyer wants is a good ROI for the money they're going to invest. And a lot of times we have an economic buyer who's asking for a cheaper price simply because we haven't built enough value in the product to justify a higher price. Now, they may be asking for a cheaper price because that's what they do. All right, I told the guys yesterday in our sales training, the client is supposed to say the price is too high. And as a matter of fact, you ought to pray they say the price is too high, because in our Tiger Woods example, somebody saying the price is too high is like hitting a 9-iron from the middle of the fairway on flat ground to a gigantic green with the pin in the middle of it. I mean, that ought to be a layup kind of a deal. So the economic buyer's real job is to make sure that they're getting good value for the investment they make. And our job is to make sure we can communicate that value. And then the technical buyer is simply wanting to make sure that whatever product we are selling meets the specs. For those of you who are my speaker buddies out there on this call, they want to know that you're the right fit for the group. All right. Technically, are you the right fit? Do you bring the right message? For those of you who sell the coatings or sell the automobile, they want to know the technicalities of the sale. So we really have to master our value propositions in 3 different categories. And all of this helps us then, once we ask our client questions, make sure we deliver the right value to them in the presentation. And then we narrow it down to 2 other value proposition categories. One is what we call Me Too, and that's where we do the same thing everybody else does. There's no real differentiation, particularly for those of you who sell product out there. You have the same products everybody else has. If you fall into that category, let me give you a quick little heads up. On our website, there's a master sales interview with a guy named Robert Rice. Robert sells chemicals and oil products to a lot of oil field, a real wide variety of clients and everything. And we're talking about, I said, so Robert, how do you get around the disadvantage of the fact that you sell a commodity? And he said, I don't think it's a disadvantage. And I, in my very best Ron White impression, said, whoa, okay, I'm listening. And he says, I don't think it's a disadvantage. If you're selling the exact same product that I do, and you have the exact same product that the exact same price that I have, and the same delivery, everything's absolutely the same, which is the way you look at a commodity. He says, I'm going to beat you 9 out of 10 times. And I said, why is that? And he goes, because I'm that good at what I do. I care about my clients. I take care of them. They love me, and I'm going to win almost every one of those deals. And I was like, Wish I'd learned that 30 years ago. It sure would have been a huge advantage to me. So in his case, with a Me Too value proposition, he is the leverage point. He is the advantage, if you will. What we teach in our workshops, though, is if you understand the value that we bring to the table, if we understand that very well, and the client is talking to 2 or 3 different competitors about what we do, and we ask great questions about what they want from us, what they value, and then we present the product that is specific to their need, we can appear to have leverage. And so even a Me Too product can be an advantage. We can have an advantage there if, one, we tell the story better than our competitor does, we know the value better, and we ask our clients better questions. And it also can be a leverage point if we are indeed a difference maker. Now, the two-knot hammer is a completely different subject matter, though. And we call this the two-knot hammer. A couple of years ago, I was doing a training program for one of my clients. A lot of you on the phone here from that group, AXA Nobel. And they do protective coatings for large ocean-going vessels, things like cruise ships and cargo ships and stuff like that. They have a large amount of that business in the world. And they had a product called InnerSleek 900. I said, what's a product where you have an advantage? The guy says InnerSleek 900. I said, tell me about the product. He said, when you paint the vessel with it, the vessel picks up 2 knots an hour in speed. And I kind of like, what? He goes, yeah. He said, the product is so slick, when you paint the vessel with it, it picks up 2 knots an hour in speed. He said, matter of fact, you can't apply the paint directly to the vessel because it's too slick. You have to put a primer on there before you can paint the vessel with InnerSleek 900. But once you do it, it picks up 2 knots an hour in speed. I asked the question, I said, what's the economic impact of that? And the number one sales rep in the world in that product line said, I don't know. And I did not say it out loud at that point in time. I am fond of saying it since then, but I thought in my head, how do you not know the answer to that? And again, I don't mean to be arrogant. There's a lot of things I don't know the answer to. But during the break, we stopped and we looked at one of his clients who had 30 ocean-going vessels, making trips to China and back, roughed it out with 10,000 containers on the vessel, $1,000 of revenue per container. They could make X number of extra trips. It was a total of $75 million a year in additional revenue to the client by painting the boat with this product. Now, the product was selling at $1,200 a gallon, and they were regularly discounting it at 40% without a manager's approval. Now, they don't do that anymore. That's the only reason I'd share that with you right now. They don't do that anymore because of the training, quite frankly, which is one of the points I always make to my clients when they want to know about return on investment I bring to the table. I'll teach their people to stop discounting products they shouldn't discount and how to sell that product more effectively and close faster and everything. If you're tracking with me, you understand what I mean by all that now. So if you want to add to that the fact that this product was also a green product, it had no biocides in it. Anything else like this product that was what they call an antifoulant would have some kind of a biocide in there that kills anything that tries to attach to the hull. And obviously that bleeds off into the water over time. Then this product was purely green, no biocides whatsoever. Add to that the whole idea that you only had to repaint the vessel every 5 years with this product instead of every 3 years. The reality is you could have sold that product for $2,000 a gallon and very easily, using what we call cocktail napkin economics, shown the buyer how they would have gotten a 3-to-1 return on investment for that product without even breaking a sweat. Now, if they don't want to, one of the guys finally said in one of the training programs, well, what if they don't want to make more trips? All right. Well, I talked to the rep. He called the client, and the client said that if they did this and they went the same speed that they'd been going, they would have a reduction in operating costs of 7.4%, which means that the ROI for that client over a period of time would have been $134 million a year. All right, folks, that is what we call a hammer. That is what we open doors with. That is what we close business with. That is what we lead with. The hammers that we have in our business are the things that we leverage to grow our business, to build more business with ideal clients and everything. I can tell you what our hammer is. For those of you who do what I do out there, I'll tell you what our hammer is. We do a follow-up program that I don't think anybody else does. As soon as we get through the program, I will take the PowerPoint, I record over it, provide that to the client. A month later, I do a FAQ live webinar, much like this one or much like our coaching calls, handle all of their toughest application or implementation challenges they had in the moment after the program. And then 4 months in a row after that, I'd do a 20-minute teaching video for just that client. This is not canned stuff. This is customized. And so I take the learning that they get in my session, even if it's a keynote or a breakout session, and I drive that 6 months out into the future. Now, I do happen to have add-ons if you want to make that a year or 18 months or 24 months, which all of my larger clients do. But at the end of the day, that's what I really kind of lead with, is that, there's a lot of people that do what I do out there. There's a lot of great speakers that speak on sales out there, but very few of them customized to the attention to detail that we do on the front end. And nobody that I know of has that kind of follow-up program on the back end. And by the way, if you're any of my speaker buddies out there and you want to know how we do that, shoot me an email, text me. I'll be glad to share that with you. Not a problem. No concern whatsoever. So the hammers are the place we have leverage. And let me back up again one more time. You should consider yourself a hammer. If you don't believe you're there yet, then let's get there. But if you're there and you've never really quantified that, I want you to grasp the value you personally bring to the table. Add that to the value your company brings to the table, and add that to mastering the value that your product and service brings to the table. And then we're closing faster, we're closing more, we're closing with higher margin, and we're having a whole lot more fun with people that really enjoy doing business with. All right, any questions real quick? Questions about that or comments? That makes sense? Give me some feedback here, guys. Anybody else on here during the webinar, you know how hard work this is. I'm not whining about it, but cool. Got it. Thank you, sir. Paul said you are the hammer. Good deal. Any questions? Any clarification we need? Nope. All right. Got a poll for you again. One last poll real quick. Help us kind of figure out where we're going to be going here moving forward. Want to find out from you. What would you like to see from us moving forward? All right. More strategic stuff like what we did today, value-based selling, building higher level relationships. Would you like to see more tactics like planning, prospecting, first impressions, qualifying, demonstrating, that kind of stuff? Would you like to see more skills, how to handle objections, things of that nature? Would you like to see more mindset, attitude, thought processes from us? What would you value most? What would be the one thing you'd like to see more of? Okay. More skills, mindset. Okay. Waiting for a couple more folks. I'm going to close it down. All right. Okay. Good deal. Thank you. Well, that's most everybody. Anybody still wanting to chime in real quick? Go ahead. 2, 1, closing. All right. It's pretty evenly divided there with one exception. The one area that nobody clicked off was more strategic stuff like what we're doing today. That's a little scary. All right, well, good. We'll get off of that and move on. And again, from an overview standpoint, what we're trying to do early in the year is just lay down that foundation. So we'll be moving off of that. But you only ask us, what'd you say? You only ask you to pick one. I know and that's what I really wanted to know. So thank you. All right, cool, awesome, good deal. All right, gang. Well, I want to keep repeating this because we've got more and more new people today. We've got what I can tell, maybe 11 new people on here. And here's our hope for you this year, okay? And I'm going to keep repeating this because I think it bears repeating. If you're brand new to sales and you're just getting your feet on the ground, I want to lay the foundation to help you build an incredible sales career and build an incredible life. I know that most of our clients don't have the privilege of the learning that I got from IBM when I was a young sales rep, so we want to help give you that foundation. If you're stuck in the middle, you've been at it a while, you're kind of stuck in that middle, which I think is the worst place to be, all right? Because you can look up and see people that are just killing it. You see the lifestyle, you see the fun they're having and all that, and you're kind of stuck there and you haven't figured out how to get out of there. I want to partner with you. I want to be right there side by side with you, and I want you to wind up being one of the best at what you do. And if you've got great value you bring to people, I want you to bring tons of value to clients. I want you to get it paid well. I want you to help a lot of people. I want you to have fun. All right. So if you're there, I want to be part of getting you out of that middle, getting out of being stuck in the middle, if you will. And if you're at the top right now, and if you are, you're trying to figure out how do you stay there. I don't want to just help you stay there. I want to help you create numbers nobody's ever created before. I want you to blow the top off of any kind of a sales projection or plan that you have for this year and the years ahead by bringing you new ideas and new strategies. That's really what we're all about. I want to help everybody in this call pursue becoming a sales master. And again, like I said, having more fun, building a bigger business, and building the life that goes with that. So thanks a lot for the attention today, guys. Great group. It's growing every week. Podcast is growing every week. Blog followers is growing every week. We're having a lot of fun. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys. So again, if you don't mind, if you can, go to iTunes, look for our podcast there in the sales arena, and give us a rating. I'd really appreciate that. Appreciate you subscribing to it too. The podcast has been a fun way to communicate with folks. So that's pretty much it for now. Good news is I did actually record this one, so I won't have to do it again this afternoon, which is what I did last time. I'll get that up and posted sometime tomorrow. And when I do, I'll shoot you guys an email and let you know that it's up there. So any questions before we close out today? Anybody? There's my contact information. If you need anything, let me know. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. No, I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. So thanks for those kind words. That's cool. Yeah, thank you too, Leslie. I appreciate you guys. All right. Any questions? All right, guys. Again, thanks for all your kind comments. I really appreciate you guys. This is a blast. I love Wednesdays because that's when we do our coaching calls, which, by the way, we'll do a coaching call next Wednesday. If you've got any questions for us that we can answer your toughest questions we do on Wednesdays, you can email me. Probably the best way is go to thesalesgladiators.com/QIF, stands for questions, insights, and feedback, and leave your questions there, and we'll tackle those next week. We've already got a good number of them, but glad to take on more. So, all right, gang, have a great week out there, and we'll see you on the next